Hello my friends, I'm Buck Weezer. Welcome to the shop, Buck Small Engine DIY on YouTube. Today I'm going to attempt to ask and answer the question, is this mower worth fixing? Do you have a lawnmower that won't start or run? Maybe it's been sitting for several years and you're asking yourself, is this mower worth fixing? Can I fix it myself? Is it worth paying somebody else to fix it? So hopefully by the end of this video, if you hang with me for a few minutes, I'm going to help you answer that question. So stay tuned. Well, here's our mower that we're going to test out our question on. Is this mower worth fixing? This was delivered to me yesterday, and that is the question of the owner. Is it worth fixing? And it is a Toro recycler. It's got a Briggs & Stratton engine, and I'm going to run a few tests. We'll assemble those the handle first, and then we'll run a few tests that you can do on your mower. Just follow my example, follow the steps, and we'll do our process and see if this mower's worth fixing and what it's going to take to get it back in service. Alright, I'm just going to do a simple test to see if the engine has compression. That's one of the essentials for any gasoline engine. And basically I'm just going to pull back on the starter rope, and you can feel the resistance at different places as you pull it back. And that's what you want to feel, because as this piston moves up in the cylinder and creates compression, that's your indicator, like the stiff parts of the rope. Alright, so that feels just about right to me. I got no question that our mower has compression. I hear some banging underneath, and I think what I want to do is just turn it on its side briefly and peek underneath. I can see there's a lot of debris and stuff all under there. Maybe just clean it out briefly before we go any further. So I'll do that, and then I'll get back to you with our next test. Yeah, so there were some sticks wedged under there. So we cleaned it up a little bit. And now we're ready to see if it wants to cooperate. So let's talk about our next test. Now, I should make sure it's got oil in it. And it does, so that's good. I would not want to attempt to start it without that confidence that it had oil in it. It's just slightly overfilled, but not significantly, so I'm not going to worry about that for right now. If we get it going and running well, we can change the oil, but I just wanted to verify that it actually has it. Okay, so our next test, what we're going to do is prime for a good time. What that means is we're going to artificially supply some fuel directly into the throat of the carburetor. So you'd use a 5/16 driver and take down the air cleaner and the air filter. All right, now behind this metal post is the opening to our carburetor, and this engine happily has an automatic choke, so there's no primer bulb to push. Some of them have that. I prefer the automatic choke, and so I can see that the choke plate in there is closed. I don't think you'll be able to see that too easily on the video, but take my word for it, when the engine's cold, that's what you want. You want that choke plate closed. So now I'm going to use a screwdriver just to push that open. It's kind of held shut with a spring, so I can push it open with a screwdriver, and then I'm going to shoot a little bit of engine starting fluid directly into the throat of the carburetor. I'm almost out. You can get this at Walmart or any auto parts store. And what we're going to do is shoot some of that in there and then try to start the engine. Because if it'll start and run, even briefly, on the fuel of this starting fluid, that will confirm that this engine is going to cooperate and we can get it going again. So I hold that choke plate open briefly with the screwdriver, put in some starting fluid, and now I'm just going to see if it'll fire up for us. Squeeze the safety bar and pull. So there we go. That test is really a conclusive and important test because it has verified for us that the engine is getting spark through the magneto, the ignition coil, to the spark plug into the combustion chamber. When we get fuel in there, the starting fluid, it does want to run. So everything is really good. And what this confirms is the only reason this is not continuing to run is because the jet in this carburetor behind the air cleaner is clogged up. And it's not a big deal to clean that out. And we will get this going again without a whole lot of effort. So I'm going to show you that next. Okay, so I've put the mower up on a table. Let's talk about this particular engine. This is a Briggs & Stratton engine, 6.75 gross torque, whatever they do, I don't know. This is one of my preferred lawnmower engines. In fact, right over there, you probably can't see it, I've got this same engine on the mower that I own and use on my property. I like this engine a lot. It's far better than the ones Briggs & Stratton is putting on lawnmowers today with the plastic carburetors. I'll take this one any day over that, provided it has the automatic choke, as this one does. And I'm not going to talk to you a lot about that, but if you don't have the automatic choke, right here, there's going to be a primer bulb that you press to prime, and they are notoriously problematic on these engines. It's a great engine, except for that. So I do not like the prime. I've watched all the videos on how to get that primer bulb working better. I've tried all the tricks. It's still a pain in the neck. So if it comes with the automatic choke, like this one does, that's gold. So I love this engine. So to get to the carburetor, it's right back here behind this air cleaner assembly. And I'm going to take off the top of the engine cover here with 2 Phillips head screws just to move it out of the way. And so we can see what we're doing a little bit better, just like that. Now, when we come down here to the air cleaner assembly, we've got 1, 2, 3 screws that we got to take off. This one here that bolts to the metal part of the engine, and then these 2 they bolt up to the carburetor. Now I think they're 5/16 or 8 millimeter, something like that. Yeah. So we're going to take those 3 down. There's 2, and then this 5/16 or 8 millimeter, which is the same thing. All right, so now I can take this straight off. This hose down here is a breather tube. It plugs into the back. So this is all dirty, nasty. We're going to be sure to clean all that up, right? But at least right now, we have access to the carburetor. And you can see, as I was saying before, that first plate, which is our choke. Okay, so when the engine's cold, that choke plate is closed, just like that. And then as the engine opens, this air vane pushes it open like that. Just think that is a pretty good system. There's a spring on the top here that pulls it into the closed position when the engine shuts off. So it's pretty simple, and it works way better than the primer bulb. That's just my opinion. All right, so I'm going to take this spring off the top. Just let it hang there. Then I'm going to take this screw here. It's a small one that holds on the air vane choke thing, because I need to separate that from the carburetor. So I'll do that. Don't know what size that is. That's pretty small. Is it is it this guy up here? You probably couldn't see what I was doing. 1/4 inch? Yeah, I think that's about right. Alright, so he comes off, and we don't have to pull it out of the engine, we just leave it hang there a little bit. That'll be fine. There's another spring on top of the carburetor here that controls the throttle from the governor arm back here. Knowing that is not important, but we do have to carefully remove it so we can take down the carburetor. Just like that, I'm going to set it gently right back there. Okay, so at this point you got to either drain the fuel from your fuel tank, because we're going to disconnect the fuel line right here, or you got to clamp it off so that it doesn't run all over the place when you disconnect it. That's what I'm going to do. I got vice grips like this, and I can just squeeze that fuel line like that, and that'll stop the flow of fuel. People get on my case about that sometimes. Say, you're going to compromise that fuel line, it's brittle and hard, and maybe so. If it becomes a problem, I can just replace this small piece of fuel line. It's not that big a deal. So I moved the clamp off, and now we got to separate the fuel line from the carburetor. All right. So probably might get a little spillage. Hopefully I've got it clamped hard enough. If not, I'll tighten it and we'll try again. Rag. Okay, so now we're ready to take this carburetor off, and looks like 3/8 bolts back 1, 2 back there. All right. So let's see about taking that down. Maybe they're 7/16. I don't know. I don't quite remember. No, 3/8 feels about right. So we can break it loose with the ratchet. And then we'll do the rest of it with the nut driver. Alright, there's one. There's 2. Alright, so now I just have to disconnect this throttle linkage right here on the top by turning the carburetor to its side, and then it comes right off. If you feel nervous about trying to remember how it all goes back together, and take a photograph of it before you disassemble it, and you'll be good to go. So this is the carburetor, and I'm going to make a guess that this main jet on the bottom is plugged and it's not getting fuel through there. I've seen this many times. It's really an easy fix. So let's take it over to the workbench and I'll show you how to clean this guy all up. Alright, there's our little carburetor friend, and before I open it up, take a look inside the bowl, I want to just clean all this debris and dust off of it. Now I'm using carburetor and air intake cleaner SuperTech. This is from Walmart. Might not really need to brush it at all, but we will. This is the air cleaner gasket on the front. It's still intact, so I'm going to leave it there. If you had another one that you could replace it with, great. And you would want to do that if it gets broken, but it's probably fine till I go and break it, right? So I'm just taking 30 seconds or a minute to clean this up. And mostly it was just dry dust and stuff on there. Not really any grease or oil. All right, so that being done, we're going to open up the bowl by removing this 1/2-inch nose. I'm going to clean out a little bit. Now you may have gas coming out of the carburetor as you turn it on its side. Not a big deal, because this is the bowl that fills up with fuel. And we're going to get rid of that fuel and stick it in my old fuel collection container. So we need a 1/2-inch, I think it's a 1/2-inch, and a ratchet to break that nut and take it off. So when you do that, it's going to start to spill fuel. So I'm going to do it over top of my jar. So I'm unscrewing that. And this piece that I'm taking out is quite important, as you will soon see. So there's that. And then I'm going to gently, there's a gasket between the bowl and the carburetor, so I'll try to take this gently off. Or maybe not so gently. There we go. So taking this apart, that gasket's pretty much shot, stuck to the bowl. I may have another, hopefully I do. So I'll probably want to replace it. And then so you want to examine here inside the bowl. You know, is there a lot of crud in there? Dust? I feel like this gasket's disintegrating and I don't want to reuse it, because those little pieces of dust will break off, flake off, and they will clog our carburetor jet. And we'll have the same problem that we have now of it not wanting to start or run. So I got to clean this bowl out. And I'll do that with this fluid, but I also got to clean all this gasket material off. So that's something we got to do. And I got to look for a new gasket. I might have some of those in stock. All right, this is the float. It meters the flow of fuel into the bowl, just like water in the top of your toilet. And it works the same way. So as fuel enters here, it fills up the bowl and the float rises and cuts off the flow of fuel when the bowl is full. All right. I think that the float is working okay. Otherwise, you'd have gas spilling all over the floor of your garage or wherever you keep your mower. All right, I'm going to spend a little time cleaning this. I'm going to look for that other gasket. I'm going to clean this bowl. But let's talk about this. This is our main jet base. And basically fuel has to enter through this tiny hole in the side. Can you even see what I'm doing? All right. This is the nut that holds the bowl onto the carburetor. It's also our main jet. And the fuel enters through this hole on the bottom. There's one on the other side too. It goes straight through. And then it comes up through here. These are very, very small holes. They easily get filled with debris. And that's why the engine won't run. I've seen this on this Briggs & Stratton many times. So here's a little pin that I have. I'm just going to stick it through there. See, go straight through. And I'm going to clean that out as best as I can. Here's some of the carburetor cleaner. And this hole through the top is even smaller. My pin doesn't, yeah, maybe it does. And you just got to get pin or bread tie or an old guitar string. I've got a variety of little pipe cleaner type things here, and we're going to clean those out. Use a little scraping action, because that sometimes it has a buildup of varnish from old fuel. You need to scrape it a little bit to get it off. Whatever size you need to get that through there. But this is where all the fuel is going to be burned by our engine to make it run. It has to flow. It has to flow through these points. This thing has to be clear. This is the #1 reason why these mowers won't run or start, because this thing is clogged. And you need to clean that out very well. Okay, and having done that, we will now, the fuel will enter the bowl and be able to be pulled up through there and go into the engine and make it run. So let me do the rest of my carburetor cleaning, and we'll put it back together like we had it. With this cleaned out now, I am quite confident this engine is going to run. So I'll do that and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so ready to assemble this carburetor. I got a new bowl gasket. I think it's the right one. I'm going to try to look up the number and leave the part number and a link in the description if you need one. I also decided to get a new air cleaner gasket because the other one was falling apart on me. So we'll use that. So let's go ahead and see about getting this new gasket on there. A little bit stretchy, like a rubber band. That's good. Clean bowl. And we cleaned out this jet nut. It secures the bowl. I can do this. There we go. And we'll wrench it down, snug it down a little bit. Good. So that's that. And we're ready to go put this back on the machine. Okay, so let's go ahead and install a carburetor. I want you to do it exactly in the reverse of how we took it off. Okay, so what was the last thing we did? This throttle linkage. So let's get that on there, because that's really hard to connect if you bolted the thing all the way up in place. All right, we slide that up. Now we got these 2 bolts. They were 3/8 bolts, as I recall. So 1. Here's a second. Dropped it. I'm okay. Get that guy up in there. All right, so those 2 guys are in. Now let's tighten them down. Doesn't have to be super tight, just snug. Okay, so let's connect this spring again, like that. All right, now we got to connect this choke vane. See how it connects here on top of the choke. All right. And what was that? 1/4 inch. So tighten him down. And now we got to connect this spring again. Right there. So that spring keeps the choke plate closed when the engine's not running. All right. Okay, let's connect our fuel line. Connects right there. And our clamp. Now I'm going to release the clamp on the fuel line so fuel can flow. And I'm going to let the fuel fill up this bowl and make sure it's not leaking before I go any further. Because once we put this plate up, it's hard to see anything. I just want to make sure the carburetor's not leaking. And if it is, we'd have to rectify that situation, but everything looks dry at this point. Okay, so just let that sit for a minute or two and watch it. But I think we're going to be good to go. I think if it were leaking, I would know that by now. Be right back. Perhaps you are wondering exactly how old is this mower. I'm going to show you how you can know that. On the Briggs & Stratton engines, on the shroud somewhere is some key information, which you probably can't read very well. I can barely read it, but I tried to clean that off. It's printed into the shroud here. Sometimes it's on the valve cover if you got an overhead valve engine. But anyway, the first 6 digits is your engine model, but we need to go all the way down to this last set of digits. The first 2, in this case 08, you probably can't even see it. Take my word for it. 08 is the year that this was manufactured. So this was made in 08. So it's 2025, so what's that make this? 17 years old? So is a 17-year-old mower worth fixing? I think it is, and we're about to find out for sure. Alright, our carburetor looks good. It's not leaking fuel anywhere. Clean your parts off as you're putting them back together. So I cleaned the air cleaner housing, and I put the new gasket up on there. So now we can again plug the breather tube in the back and then get our hardware and put this guy back up with these 5/16 bolts. 3 of them. All right, so our carburetor's back up in place. Everything works well and it runs good. I'll be getting a new air filter on there. I don't need it for our test, but I think we're good. I'm going to put the cover back on, and that was held in with the 2 Phillips head screws. All right, and we'll get this put back together. I'll put it back down on the floor, and I dropped the screw. I'll find that. We'll put this back together, put it on the ground, and we'll see if it wants to run for us. Okay, so we've moved outside, thinking it might smoke a little bit since it hasn't run in a while. And we've got clean fuel, because I have no idea the age of the fuel that was in there. So let's see if it'll run. Wow, that just really makes me so happy. You know, 1 pull start now. 17 years old, and it sounds really, really, really good to me. That's just so very satisfying. So I want to do oil change, new air filter, new spark plug. Maybe I'll sharpen that blade since it probably needs it, and then this baby will be ready to do some mowing. Wow, it's great. All right, well, that wraps it up. So let's go back to our original question. Is this mower worth fixing? I think you can see now that it absolutely is. Even though it's 17 years old, I would rather have that Briggs & Stratton engine on that mower, 17 years old, than I would anything you can buy in the store today. Do you think the stuff you can buy in the store today for $400, $450 is going to be around 17 years later? It's not. I would much rather spend the effort and time, and if necessary money, if you got to pay somebody to do it, to fix up that mower than I am to buy a new one from the store. So is it worth it? I absolutely think it is. You say, well, I can't do that. What you did, there's no way I could do that. Well, maybe not. It might not be your cup of tea, but don't sell yourself short. Just cleaning out that bowl nut is sometimes all it takes to get a mower back up and running. And I got other videos on these same kind of mowers, and I get comments all the time from people say, oh, it worked, I did what you said, it worked, it's running again. And they're so happy, and they're glad and grateful for the video. That's why I keep doing them. It's very satisfying when I get comments like that. Even if you have to pay somebody, okay, 2 hours of a mechanic's rate, maybe plus some parts, you know, it's a lot less than buying a new one, and you've got a better mower that I think is far more reliable and worthwhile. Is it worth fixing? You're darn tootin'. That means yes. Thanks for watching today's video. Your comments and questions are always appreciated in the discussion below. This is Buck Small Engine DIY on YouTube signing off saying, remember guys, only you can put the do into do-it-yourself. See you next time. Bye.